So under the Fair Work Act, the Fair Work Commission has responsibility for ensuring that our modern award system remains fair and relevant. And this decision really looked at a number of modern awards in the retail, fast food and hospitality sectors to determine whether the penalty rates that are currently paid for Saturday and Sunday work remain fair and relevant. Well, the decision obviously affected a number of modern awards. I'm just going to focus on the retail award today, or the general retail award. And what the Commission decided in relation to penalty rates in that award was to reduce the Sunday penalty rate from 200% to 150% for permanent part-time and full-time employees, and for casual employees to reduce it from 200% to 175%. In relation to public holidays, they decided to reduce the rate from 250% to 225%. That's for permanent full-time and part-time employees, and for casual employees they decided to keep it at 250%. They also decided to leave Saturday penalty rates as they are at the moment. And really the reason they got to that decision was that they decided that community standards and the economy had changed such that the penalty, so to speak, for working on Sundays was no longer so great as it was in 2010 when the modern awards were made. Now, the decision hasn't taken effect yet, and in fact there is still some uncertainty about when the decision will take effect. What the Commission has said is that they want to ease the burden on affected employees by transitioning these penalty rate changes in over a period of time. They haven't yet decided what that period will be, but given the decision, it's likely to be at least 2 years, but absolutely no more than 5 years for that transition to occur. We'll know, I think, by probably mid-June what that transition is going to look like. And based on the decision, my best guess is that it will be a transition of over 2 and possibly 3 years, starting from 1 July 2017. Well, the reaction's been very interesting and in some ways quite intense. The government has come out and said that they will be making submissions in the further hearing to be held regarding how the transition arrangements are to work. So we don't yet know exactly what the government's position will be, but they are likely to at least try to protect current employees' terms and conditions of employment, because I think they sense that politically this is becoming a difficult issue. The Labor opposition have already introduced a bill into Parliament to ensure that no workers' take-home pay is reduced. That bill hasn't passed through the Parliament and won't, based on the current status of the parties in both houses of Parliament. The unions obviously have reacted very assertively to the decision and have really threatened to run a work choices style campaign to ensure that this decision is in some way overturned to the extent that's possible, which won't be possible other than for a political solution, I think. And then retailers have responded cautiously. I think the difficulty for employers in the retail industry is that there is still great uncertainty about what this decision actually means. And that's really because we don't know when the changes are going to take effect. I think it's also a difficult message for employers to say to their employees, well, we might be taking advantage of this decision and reducing your take-home pay. So really there hasn't been much of a response from business, and what we have seen, interestingly, is some employers, and Lush is one such retailer, who've actually gone out to their employees via social media to say that they won't be taking advantage of the decision to cut Sunday penalty rates. Well, I think the future is going to be very interesting. I mean, this has become a bit of a political football now. So we might well see some political intervention, particularly in the lead up to the next federal election. Putting to one side the politics, the other interesting developments will be the enterprise bargaining framework that I've already discussed, and also another change that the Fair Work Commission referred to in its penalty rates decision. So one thing that President Ross of the Fair Work Commission in particular has talked about for some time now is replacing the whole penalty rate system with one fixed rate. And the way that would work is that there would be a single rate of pay in the modern award, which would be higher than the current rate, but less than the rate when you include Saturday and Sunday penalties. And the idea would be you would get the same rate irrespective of whether you work on a Monday, on a Saturday or on a Sunday. Now, that is a very ambitious plan. I personally have doubts as to whether it can be achieved in a way that leaves no people worse off. And so I have some doubts as to whether it will come about. But it is an ambition of President Ross to amend the award eventually to include some form of loaded rate. So I think it'll be very interesting to see whether that becomes a feature of the industrial landscape in the retail sector in particular in the future.